In this series we will be exploring the ideas of Advaita Vedanta, one of the most subtle and profound philosophical traditions that emerged from the Indian subcontinent. These reflections will take us through questions about the nature of consciousness, the relationship between the self and the universe, and the deeper meaning of non-duality as expressed in the Upanishads. But before we enter that inquiry, it may be helpful to take a step back and look at the broader background from which these ideas emerged. Advaita Vedanta did not appear suddenly as an isolated doctrine. It belongs to a much older and wider stream of philosophical reflection that evolved gradually over many centuries within Indian civilization. Understanding this background allows us to see Advaita not merely as a philosophical system, but as the flowering of a long tradition of inquiry into the nature of reality and the nature of the self. Before we begin exploring the teachings of Advaita Vedanta, it may therefore be worthwhile to pause for a moment and ask a simpler question. Where do these ideas come from? The concepts we will be discussing in this series. The nature of consciousness, the unity of existence, the identity of the self and the ultimate reality did not emerge suddenly. They belong to a remarkable intellectual and spiritual journey that unfolded over thousands of years. What the modern world often refers to as Hinduism is not a religion in the conventional sense that the modern world usually understands. It does not begin with a single founder, nor does it depend upon a single central doctrine or authority. Rather, it represents a vast and evolving civilizational tradition shaped by countless generations of thinkers, poets, sages, and seekers. The word Hinduism itself is relatively recent. It arose from the name of the river Sindhu, which ancient Persians pronounced as Hindu. Over time the word came to describe the people and cultures living beyond that river. Gradually it became a broad label applied to the diverse spiritual and philosophical traditions that developed across the Indian subcontinent. Yet the sages who shaped these traditions did not use this word to describe their way of life. Instead they often spoke of Sanatana Dharma, a phrase that may be translated as the eternal order or the timeless way. It suggested not a rigid structure of belief, but an ongoing search for harmony between human life, nature, and the deeper realities of existence. Within this long tradition, some of the earliest preserved expressions of thought appear in the Vedas. The Vedas are among the oldest surviving literary compositions in human history. For many centuries they were transmitted orally from teacher to student with extraordinary precision. These ancient hymns reflect a deep sense of wonder before the mysteries of the universe, the rising of the sun, the rhythms of the seasons, the power of wind and rain, and the invisible order that seemed to sustain the cosmos. The Vedic sages were not merely observers of nature, they were contemplators of existence itself. Their hymns reveal a profound curiosity about the forces that govern the universe and the place of human life within that cosmic order. Gradually, this curiosity began to deepen. The questions moved beyond ritual and symbolism and turned toward something more fundamental. What is the source of this universe? What is the principle that sustains its order? And what is the nature of the consciousness through which human beings experience the world? Out of this deeper reflection emerged a remarkable body of philosophical writings known as the Upanishads. The Upanishads represent a turning point in Indian thought. While earlier portions of the Vedic tradition often emphasize ritual practices and cosmic harmony, the Upanishads move inward toward the nature of the self and the ultimate reality behind the universe. The sages who composed these texts began to ask questions that remain among the most profound ever asked by human intelligence. What is the essence of existence itself? Is there a reality that lies behind the countless forms of the universe? And what is the relationship between that ultimate reality and the consciousness through which we experience life? One of the Upanishads expresses this insight with striking clarity. Satyam jñānam anantam brahma. Brahman is truth, consciousness, and infinity. Here we encounter one of the central ideas that would later shape Advaita Vedanta. The ultimate reality of existence is not described as an object within the universe, but as the infinite ground of all existence and awareness. As the reflections of the Upanishads continued to unfold, another remarkable insight gradually appeared. The sages began to suggest that the deepest essence of the universe and the deepest essence of the individual self might not be separate. One of the most famous statements of the Upanishads expresses this possibility with remarkable simplicity. Tat tvam asi. That thou art. In other words, the consciousness through which we experience life may not be separate from the ultimate reality that sustains the cosmos. These insights did not remain isolated philosophical reflections. Over centuries they were studied, debated, interpreted, and refined by generations of thinkers. Out of this long process of reflection eventually emerged the philosophical tradition known as Vedanta, a word that literally means the culmination or the final understanding of the Vedas. Vedanta seeks to explore the deeper meaning of the Upanishadic teachings and the nature of reality that those teachings reveal. Among the various interpretations that developed within Vedanta, one of the most influential is Advaita Vedanta, articulated with extraordinary clarity by the philosopher Adi Shankaracharya in the 8th century. The word Advaita simply means non-duality. It suggests that the apparent separation between the individual self and the universe may arise from misunderstanding. Beneath the diversity of forms there exists a single, indivisible reality. Advaita Vedanta does not ask us to accept this as a belief. Instead, it invites us into a process of inquiry, a careful examination of our own experience in order to understand the nature of consciousness and the reality in which we live. In the reflections that follow, we will gradually explore the insights that arise from this inquiry. We will examine the meaning of Brahman, the nature of the self, the mysterious concept of Maya, and the possibility that the consciousness through which we experience life is not separate from the fundamental reality of the universe. The sages of the Upanishads believed that such inquiry is not merely philosophical curiosity. It is part of a deeper human search to understand existence itself. And perhaps, through that understanding, to discover a quiet clarity within the very experience of life.